Alright everyone, pag-uusapan po natin today ang mga requested stocks ninyo tulad ng ACEN, DMC at SPNEC. Are you guys ready? Let's go! Hello mga alamat! So magsisimula tayo today with DMC, no? Itong DMC, the last time we talked about it, sabi natin there was the possibility na makapagbuo siya ng head and shoulders pattern around this area. Now, na-exceed na natin yung high ng right shoulder, albeit briefly. So, I think we can consider na medyo negated na yung pattern. However, that doesn't mean na baka hindi na siya mag-range sa area na to because that possibility still exists. Kasi kanina, we tried to push higher, nauntog tayo dito sa resistance level natin near 10.74, di ba? Kung saan nabitin to dati, dyan din nabitin to ngayon. And then we push lower. Now, this push lower doesn't necessarily mean na kailangan bababa kagad tayo dito sa bottom end ng range. However, it is reinforcing na meron nga tayong resistance level dito or resistance area na kailangan punahin at kailangan pangingatan. So, ano yung mga potential scenarios natin outside of yung wide range nga? What you want to watch out for, number one, syempre kung nabasag natin tong 10.74, then bagong 52-week high tayo and we could reach for yung next resistance levels at 10.98 followed by 11.12. However, kung bumaba to and we close beneath tong 9.86 na level, we might come back and revisit yung bottom end of the range na nga at baka tuluyang mabuo tong sinasabi natin na wide range kanina. Okay? From there, kung mabasag pati yung 9.3, then we might dig deeper. Pero wag muna natin sobrang pangunahan. Let's focus on yung short term na potential scenarios na. And then we'll worry about yung longer term scenarios if and when they happen. But for now, if you're looking to get into DMC, I would wait a little bit, see kung mag-range nga siya, then that might give you the potential for a good trade because that's quite a decent range din, no? From 9.3 hanggang mga 10.74, so that's a wide range that you could possibly trade. Pero rushing in where it is right now, parang nasa alanganin ka. Kasi where your stop would go would likely have to be beneath 9.3 pero yung potential untog mo ay nandyan pa rin sa 10.74. Next, pag-usapan naman po natin yung SPNEC. Now, itong SPNEC, patuloy yung pagbaba niya, di ba? And then recently, we've been seeing a bounce. As I mentioned on Twitter, kapag di nyo pa ako fina-follow, be sure to follow me. The links to all my socials are in the description box below. There was a sign na merong potential for strong divergence and so far that's playing out. But wala pa tayong guarantee na ito na yung swing low mo. After all, price hasn't really moved that far away from where this low formed. This low was at 1.05. We're only at 1.14. Diba? It hasn't been the greatest of moves. So, ano yung gusto nating makita dito? Okay, para maging mas bullish tayo ng konti dito sa SPNEC. Number one, maaaring mag-form tayo ng inverse head and shoulders pattern sa area na to. If that happens, then that's something to potentially watch out for kasi from there, we could get a push, possibly leading back to yung SRO price niya or maybe a tad lower than that. It remains to be seen pa. I want to wait until the pattern forms before I even consider the possibility of trading yung SPNEC. Okay? And then the other thing is, we did break beneath tong white zone natin. Diba? Medyo may kakapalan tong white zone natin. Sabi nga natin noon, we were looking for a potential reaction here. And to be fair, ang tagal din natin nagstay dito at nagkaroon ng minor reactions. It's just that it never really moved away from it. So now that we're beneath itong white zone na to, the same area could act as resistance on the way up. That's why nag-iingat ako. That's why ayoko sobra siyang pangunahan. Kasi I understand na may area of chop dito wherein traders could have come in. So forcing a trade where we are, baka mauntog lang tayo agad dahil lalabas ng buhay yung mga pumasok dito and before we know it, ipit na tayo. Okay, so I want to see some type of structural shift moving forward before considering trading SPNEC. And one of those can be noticed by most people kung mabuo nga yung inverse head and shoulders pattern na pinag-uusapan natin. Next, pag-usapan naman po natin yung BPI. Now, tong BPI, as we discussed prior, we are caught within this wide range here. Now, how you want to delineate the range, kung ano yung definition nyo nung top end or nung low end, that depends on you, no, and how you view the chart, and that's perfectly fine. Kasi syempre, ang charting art form pa din yan eh. Now, for me, the wide range is somewhere around 85.65 hanggang mga 99 pesos, more or less. Diba? Maybe a little bit higher sa bottom or maybe a little bit lower sa top, but we're more or less playing within those figures. Okay? Kung titignan natin, dyan siya natatrap eh. These were potential overshoots along the way. Dito rin, mga parang lumagpas ng konti sa baba, but more or less, price has traded within this range for the longest period of time since the latter part of 2021. Okay? Now, para sa akin, as long as it's caught within this wide-ish range, the best approach pa rin is for potential range trades. Bakit? Hindi ba maraming broker na nagsasabi na dapat bullish na tayo sa banks kasi nga with the rate hikes and so on, blah blah blah, no, for a lot of fundamental reasons. And while those may or may not be true, okay, from a purely technical perspective, para sa akin, ang itsura pa rin niya, stuck pa rin tayo eh. Diba? Yes, BDO is trying to make some headway, pero parang hindi pa gaano sumusunod tong BPI. Okay? So what do I want to see? Syempre, ideally, we want price to stay in the higher end of that range. Diba? Ayaw natin na nag-levitate siya dito sa may baba, kasi kapag nandun siya sa baba, parang napaka-bearish pa rin niya tignan eh. Yes, kung meron kayong value area na inaabangan, you may choose to buy if and when price goes to that area. Pero kung wala and you want a more immediate effect sa mga positions ninyo, then you want to wait until the chart shows more bullishness before jumping in. Yes, maaaring mabili nyo ng mas mahal, but that's the price that you pay for confirmation. Now, from here, let's say that price is able to push higher and actually break above tong swing high na nabuo dito, maaaring mauntog pa rin tayo sa 96.15 and then from there, makakita tayo ng some type of rejection. Yes, kumaganda ng konti ang index. Yes, today we closed above 6,050, if I'm not mistaken, 6,040 na area, but that doesn't mean na blue skies na, di ba? Now, kung kunwari sabihin natin from here we are able to break above 99.2, I do believe we open up this range above hanggang 104 and that might be a more attractive range to trade kasi mas walang choppiness sa area na yun compared to all the choppiness that's been going on here. On the flip side, if we push lower and we break beneath 85.65 and 84 pesos, then we might revisit these lows from before, di ba? Ang daming cluster of lows dito. And then from there, kung mabasag pa yon, we'll revisit this again and see what's going on. But for now, I sincerely think na we are not gonna break out of this range, at least not to the downside, no? Unless magkaroon ng very strong fundamental reason to do so. So, if you want to trade this, you can, pero konting ingat lang and make sure whatever trades you take will yield good risk reward. Don't just focus on the upside, diba? The upside will take care of itself. Focus on what you could potentially lose. Next, let's take a quick look at ALLHC, no? Now, I'm not surprised that people are still requesting ALLHC kasi for a time, gumaganda itsura ng chart na to eh. Diba? When we broke out of this parang rounded bottom or whatever you want to call it sa area na to, and we started consolidating here, I am sure a lot of people were thinking na eto na, we're gonna see a push to the upside, a break from 3.85 would lead to 4.35 and so on. Okay? However, hindi yun yung nangyari, no? We consolidated briefly sa area na to, and then when we broke back down in this candle here, we eventually pushed back dito sa support around 2.85. Yes, bumitin ng konti, but halos inabot natin siya, and now we are ranging dito sa previous range na area. Meaning, where price is it's caught between the range ng 2.85 hanggang 3.46. Okay? Is it a tradable range? Maybe it is, based on whatever system you use or based on how you approach the market. For me, there's a lot of choppiness that will make it a little harder to trade this range. So medyo maingat ako ng konti. But a potential trap beneath itong 2.85, di ba? Meaning price trades down, tapos fake out lang pala, comes back up, could be a sign na pwedeng i-trade tong range na to. It's actually a very decent range. Pero until then, I wouldn't be very focused on simply buying at support and hope support holds. Okay? Now, kung kunwari, from here naman, we get a break to the upside. We break above 3.46 ulit. Then I think that reopens this range pabalik hanggang 3.85 na medyo decent probability na kaya nating abutin ulit or at the very least malapitan yung previous top end. And if that happens, what we will be looking at is yung bagong range natin will be ito na. Itong wide na area na to from 2.85 hanggang 3.85. But for now, if you are intending to trade this, just make sure na pasok siya sa parameters nyo, sa mga signals ninyo para planado nyo yung pagpasok nyo at hindi kayo mabubulaga kung mangyari ang ayaw nating mangyari. And then finally, tignan po natin tong ACEN. Now, itong ACEN, para sa akin, it's been forming some type of bear flag for now. Meaning, it could come back up dito sa 6.23 at dyan tayo makahanap ng untog and confirmed yung bear flag if price comes back down and breaks beneath tong channel na nabuo. Okay? Kung nabuo nga yun, we break beneath channel, then the likely scenario is price revisits yung support dito sa 5.25. Okay? If mabasag pa yung 5.25, as you can see, medyo malalim na yung next na hukay because this move up here was very inefficient. So, kung mabasag yung 5.25, hindi ako magugulat kung magkaroon tayo ng medyo, kumbaga, snowball effect, no? Na biglang lalalim yung hukay at mabalikan natin tong 4 pesos or 4 point something pesos na area. Now, on the flip side naman, let's say na mag-continue siya mag-channel, does that mean na magandang i-range trade yung channel na yon? Now, personally, I don't range trade within channels, but that doesn't mean na dapat hindi nyo gawin. As long as you have the data to back up your trades, meaning alam nyo yung success rate ng trade na yon, then by all means, go ahead, no? For me, personally, I have a hard time doing so lang. Now, kung kunwari naman, we get a break to the upside of the channel and we can start holding above it, in this case, if we can break above 6.23 and start holding above it, then I think that opens up this range here for a good trade from 6.23 hanggang 6.8. So, very decent range. And I think it would be a relatively quick trade din. Kasi again, inefficient move tayo to the downside. So, if we can break up and start holding here, then a trade could be had papunta sa next level of resistance. Kung kunwari, malakas ang loob nyo, you want to push your luck further, you can try for yung gap fill na naiwan dito around 7.10, 7.08. That's up to you, no? Pero for me, if I do end up trading this, it would be from one level to the next as always. Okay? Now, paano kung kunwari, for the longest time, mag-channel lang siya? Pagka ganon, for me, the best approach would be simply to exercise patience and wait for, kumbaga, something different to happen. A breakout or a breakdown from one side or the other, and then from there, reassess. Kasi kapag ganon, mas magkakaroon tayo ng konting clarity at dadali ng konti ang pag-form ng trade idea rather than simply buying cause it's quote-unquote cheap and hope it pushes higher from there. Again, your approach could be different. That's fine. Ang sa akin lang, I prefer to take trades na mas immediate yung payoff. Diba? I would prefer not to sit on my hands for too long, but that's just me. If you prefer na kung kunwari umabot to sa value area nyo, you want to buy and you don't mind waiting for a prolonged period of time, that's fine. A lot of styles work and that's okay, no? So mga alamat, dito po nagtatapos yung video natin. I hope na nakatulong po to sa inyo kahit papano. And as always, maraming salamat po sa panonood. I really appreciate it. Good luck and happy trading!